Alright, one last quadratic for us to solve. This time we want to use the quadratic formula. What do we need to do first? First we need to move that 52 over. So x squared minus, sorry, x squared minus 8x minus 52 equals 0. So let's think about what we have. We have a equals 1, b equals negative 8, and c equals negative 52. Alright, so let's remember the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of that over 2a. So now let's substitute in what we have. So x equals negative b, well b is negative 8, so we will get a positive 8, plus or minus the square root of 8 squared minus 4 times a is just 1, so I'm not going to write it, well, whatever, I'll write it 1 times c is negative 52. All of that divided by 2 times a, which is 1. So everything's just plugged in now, and let's simplify this a little bit. 8 plus or minus the square root of 8 squared is 64. Minus 4 minus 52. Notice we have a double negative there. Those will cancel, so we will have a positive number, which is good. Let's do some side math here. Let's figure out what 52 times 4 is. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 5 is 20, so 208. So 64 plus 208 on the inside there, and all of that is being divided by 2. All right, let's keep going. Keep on simplifying. 8 plus or minus the square root of 64 plus 208. So let's add those numbers together. 8 plus 4 is 12, and so we'll get a 7 there, 272. So the square root of 272, all of that divided by 2. So unfortunately, 272 is a gross number. It's not a nice square number that we can just square root. So we're going to need to simplify this radical a bit. So let's try and figure out how we're going to do that. What I like to do is I'll take that number 272 and I'll start splitting it up, and I'll see how I can split it up. Hopefully there'll be some perfect squares we can pull out. So let's start with 272. Let's split it in half. What is half of 272? Well, let's do it a bit at a time. I've got a 200, I've got a 70, and I've got a 2. Half of 200 is 100, half of 70 is 35, and half of 2 is 1. So I'm going to get 136 when I split that in half, which I can split in half again because it's still an even number. So let's play that game again. Let's split 136 in 2. So I've got a 100, and I've got a 36. And 100 split in half is going to give me a 50. And the 36 split in half is going to give me an 18. So I have 68. So when I split that into 2 again, divided by 2, I get 2 times 68 gets me that 136. You see what I'm doing? 2 times 2 times 68 now gives me 272. I'm splitting it up. But again, 68 now can be split again. So let's divide it in 2 again. What's half of 68? Well, it is 34. Again, I can keep going. I can pull out another factor of 2. What's 34 divided by 2? Well, it is 17. So what this has told me is that that is the prime factorization of this number. What does that mean? It means that 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 17 is what gives me 272. And why is that helpful? Well, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, well, look at 2 times 2 is 4. So I have 4 times 4 times 17, which means I have 4 squared times 17. So I'm using this to help me break this up. So x equals 8 plus or minus the square root of 4 squared times 17, which means I can pull that 4 out, which is nice. So 8 plus or minus 4 root 17. All of that divided by 2. I can get rid of that denominator by dividing the 8 and the 4. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, plus or minus 4 divided by 2 is 2 root 17, and those are my solutions. So it was a little messy, but we did it. So x equals 4 plus 2 root 17. X equals 4 minus 2 root 17. And we found our two solutions using the quadratic formula.